In this section of our mini course on the story of Scripture, we are going to talk about the 5 books of wisdom literature: Job, Psalms, Proverbs, Ecclesiastes, and Song of Solomon. And in these books, we're going to take a look at humanity, specifically in the suffering of Job. We're going to look at God's relationship with mankind and mankind's relationship with God. And we're going to get a picture into the forces of evil at work against humanity, as well as the sovereignty and power of God. We're going to understand that human suffering is dealing with the tragedies and calamities that come upon us in this lifetime and what we can do as God's people and how to respond to them. We're also going to look in this wisdom literature at a great portion of worship. As we go into the book of Psalms, we're going to get a picture into the covenant worship of God's covenant people. We're going to see the Psalms of lament as God's people cry out to Him. We're going to see Psalms of ascent as there's victory and thanksgiving and praise because of who God is. And we're going to see Psalms of thanksgiving. We're going to see God's people respond to Yahweh with psalms and worship offerings. As we go into the book of Proverbs, we're going to see principles for godly living in the covenant land. We're going to see the wisdom of Solomon declared to the people in these quick little quippy statements that are going to give us a picture into wisdom and how it works and the principles that we can apply to our lives for godly living. And then as we get to the book of Ecclesiastes, the book called Kohelet, we're going to hear from the teacher. We're going to hear what it is that the purpose of life is, how everything of this world that is fading and meaningless kind of comes to pass, and what it is that's desperately seeking within our soul that can only be fulfilled in God Himself, and how the meaning of life is truly to know God and to make Him known. And these wisdom books are going to cover a great span of time. And we're also going to look at the book of the Song of Solomon, where we're going to get a picture of the joy and blessing and power of covenant marriage and how this transpires amongst God's people. And so, as we do this, we're going to wrap up a great span of theological history in covenant living through these different books of literature, these books of wisdom that are going to cover poetry as well as song. And we're going to see this play out in God's people in real time. These books are comprised over 1,500 years from many different writers, and they're going to give us a picture of how God's people walk out the day-to-day living. They're going to give us wisdom and worship as we too, as God's people, engage with one another and engage with God.